much easier. We kind of want to make it like a dialogue. If you guys have any questions, feel free to speak your mind because it'll go much smoother.
Yeah. So just raise your hand if anything comes up and you want to ask. We'll take a second. Yeah. We'll talk about it.
It could be anything. Like my favorite color. Anything.
Let's just start with, you want to tell these guys, like, I mean, all these guys are in high school, so tell us, like, if you could go back to high school or even early college, like, what's one thing that you wish you could, like, go back and tell a young Dave Gerber? What would you tell yourself? And then when did you figure that out, and what did it take to figure that out?
Yeah. If I went back to high school, the biggest thing for me, kind of my biggest slap in the face that I would go back and talk to my younger self was about physically developing myself. I got an opportunity to play at Creighton with John and Nick, and when I got there, I was not ready physically. I got in the weight room a little bit too late, and immediately it came to me that I was behind the 8 ball. So if I could go back and do that, I would say, hey, get in the weight room, get after yourself a little bit. Some things that I know your coach has been talking with you a little bit about and you guys have been doing, and I wish that I had done it more because I would have been much more prepared going into my college experience, and it would have gotten me a step ahead.
For me, I think it's important at a younger age to do your research. If you're interested in college, if you're interested in any program, do your research on that program, because I wasn't one that did any research. I just played the game, went on my official visits, and then when Creighton told me that I had a chance to play as a freshman, I was like, yeah, let's go to Creighton. But I think that's one thing that I would do again was just do my research, and then like he said, just get a step ahead on conditioning, on your lifting, because I'm not the biggest guy as it is, or right now either, and I've been through it all, but you'll definitely be ahead of others if you get a head start on that.
You guys have anything? Any questions about any of that stuff?
And it was tough for me too when I was in high school. I wasn't around a staff maybe like you guys have here. I didn't have weight coaches that I could go to and ask questions, and so when I did get to college, I think a lot of it for me was that I had to learn so much in a short amount of time to even catch up with those guys. So if you have the resources around you now, like reach out to them, try to use them, because it'll only pay off for you in the future. It's something that I wish I could have done. So
another thing that I know people were wondering about is like when this kind of shifts to like what you're thinking about. It's like it's a pressure-packed situation, like bases are loaded, bottom of the ninth, or Nicky, like I got to make an out, or I need to get a hit. Think about some stuff like what's going through your mind. Like what are some things you're telling yourself in a big? Because baseball's a game of there's a lot of pressure situations. How do you handle that?
The biggest thing that helps me calm me down is I talk to myself in my head, saying I can do it. I'm more of a positive kind of guy. I have fun with it, but never think that you can't do it. Never think that, oh, I have to do something. Say I will do it. So like say I have to get a hit, or I have to field this ground ball. Say I will do this. I will field this ground ball. I will get a hit. I think that'll help you guys for sure going forward as well.
Yeah, and I love pitching in the big situation. Anybody who's in a bullpen wants to be in the big situation. For me, when things get into that big game, big time atmosphere, you speed up. And I think it's natural for all of us. The game quickens and speeds up a little bit. As a pitcher, it's great. Ball's in my hands. Like you can't go until I throw the pitch home. So like slowing the game down, really taking my mental cues and understanding, okay, I have the time right now. It's look at what my plan's going to be against this guy. And for the most part, I don't even really, you come back, but your mind does the work for you, and that comes from your preparation before and during the game as you're watching hitters who are playing and seeing their at-bats early in the game. That all kind of comes as you slow the game down and think yourself through it and then kind of go to attack it.
To touch a little bit on that too, slowing yourself down, I know it sounds kind of funny, but focus on your breathing. Breathe in the moment. Don't be all tense. Make sure you're breathing. I mean, obviously we're all breathing, but make sure you slow it down. Take a deep breath. If that means stepping out of the box, or if that means stepping off the rubber, taking a breath, then relocking in. That'll help too. And then going back to what I said earlier about, he even said it, not backing down in that situation. It'll separate you so much if you can make a play, bottom ninth, bases loaded, ground ball to you, throw them out. It'll separate you so much making those plays and not crumbling in those situations. It'll separate you from the other guys.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
Do you have a routine or something you go to? Like a routine, like
like in those situations specifically?
right.
So I always have kind of a thing for me. I'd say I try to speed up my pace. As if I get a strike, I'm going to get back on the mound and go again pretty quick. But sometimes the game will still speed up for me. I'll go 2-0 immediately on a guy. Like I will step off the mound, and guys have different things. Ty Block with the Giants, who pitched to Creighton, he'll look at the right foul pole. I'll look at my shoelace, and I will think about absolutely nothing. I will clear my mind. Just completely erase whatever's going on, slow myself down, and then get back on the mound and go again. So I would say that's a routine to check myself in those situations. So,
I'm the type of guy who, I have, certain routines. Going up to the box, I do my on deck circle routine. But I'm the type of person who will make an adjustment day to day. If something's not working, say I go for 4, all right, switch something else. Do something that makes you feel comfortable. I've changed my batting stance probably. Last season, I've changed something with my hands, something with my body, probably like 3 or 4 times the whole season. So just don't be afraid to make those changes. That's something that I don't really have like a set routine, because I'm always just looking for, ways to improve.
Okay, let's say pressure situation happens, or something happens and you screw up, you fail.
Yeah.
All right, it happens all the time. We talk about it all the time.
yeah,
Guys.
yeah.
How do you handle it? How do you respond to something like that? How do you keep your competitive mindset going without like crumbling under that, or like letting it eat at you?
Yeah.
I just think that's, your teammates pick you up. Having a good support staff, that's the one thing that helped me. Started off a season one time, 1 for 21, and I thought my season was over, but that's where the support staff of friends, family, siblings, anything, just have that outlet, go to them, vent all you want, throw something in the tunnel, that's what, but don't show yourself, don't seem like you're defeated on the field, because there's always tomorrow. There's always the next day, next play, next out to be made. So
Yeah, and I mean, obviously when we all go out there and you're in a situation, none of us are trying to fail, right? Like we're always trying to succeed, but failure is part of the game. It is going to happen. It happens to the best. It doesn't matter who you are. Everybody's going to fail. Failure, at the time, you feel like crap about it. It's like, shit, I just messed this up, right? We're allowed to. Sorry. Like, oh, camera. But you're gonna mess stuff up. Those are the moments where you grow as a player, because at that time it's okay. I made this mistake tonight. This is what caused me to fail. Let's take a step back. Let's analyze that. All right, and then what am I doing the next day? I threw an inning with the Mariners organization as a reliever. If I throw an inning tonight, I'm not going to throw tomorrow. If I throw 2 innings tonight, I'm not going to throw for 2 days. But then I'm back no matter what after that, after 2 days. But that next day is, okay, what happened last night? Can I work on it in my flat ground? Can I visualize and analyze it? Your failures are going to happen. Make them make you a better player. Because when you do make a mistake, make sure you don't do it again. That's the key to that. That's what I would say. That's making the adjustment. And the pro levels, like they say, make the adjustment. That's making the adjustment. So.
And as a position player, especially in the pro level, you make a mistake, you play tomorrow. You play 142 games. So, like this past season, I played 136 out of 142 games. So, I had to play tomorrow. So it had to be, all right, I failed. Well, I'm not going to make the same mistake tomorrow. So just have that quick, turn it over. Yep.
Hey, can you talk about like that adjustment you made when you were in high school, in college, and then obviously what you just spoke about in the pro level? What are the differences between the three?
Yeah. So the high school game is, obviously a little bit different than college. You get to, each year you play more and more games. And going from high school to college, I think the biggest thing was, making that jump as a freshman to, just bettering yourselves every single year. So you go to, as a senior in high school, you have to make that, adjustment as a freshman. And then you have to make sure you make that adjustment as a sophomore. Just keep getting better each and every year, put your work in, so that you can play every single game of every single season. And then making that jump from college to, it was a lot of games. So I went from playing how many games did we play my junior year? Or senior year, how many games did we play in college?
55 games.
55 games. So went from 55, and then I played a short season ball game, and we played like 60-something games there. So that was like 120 games, whatever. And then from that, I had to play like 140. So it was tough, but it's just the work that you put in off the field, body treatment, taking care of your body, what goes into your body, the food aspect, liquids. I think that's the biggest thing, is just making the adjustment, actually caring about your body as time goes on.
Yeah, I think as when I was in high school, I don't think I focused so much on the nutrition part, and so with what you said there, but as the adjustments in high school, I would say, for me, mentally, making the adjustments was a little bit harder, just because for me personally, you're thinking what other guys are thinking, this or that. As you get to college, you start like, this is your job. Every day I'm getting there, this is my job. I'm going to get this done, I'm going to get this done. And then when you get to pro ball, it's all on you. So that's kind of the differences that I had moving forward, was just having a more personal outlook on it and making sure that I was taking care of my business a little bit farther along. So.
Do you think you should have that? Do you wish you would have started doing that earlier?
Yeah.
In your career?
Yeah. When I was younger, I think I cared a little bit too much about what other people thought, and so that affected my preparation. That affected how I went about my business. I don't know if we'll touch on it a little later or this or that, but if something makes you successful, if you're doing this, if this is a part of your routine, if someone's pointing a finger at you and saying, "Oh, why are you doing this? Why are you doing that?" Well, if it makes you successful, like, screw them. Do your thing. Do your thing. If you're going to be successful, do that. If that person's doing that, they're a terrible teammate. But you should always encourage your teammates to do whatever they need to do to be successful. And when I was younger in the high school setting, you see a lot more of that pointing fingers. And then when you get to college, it changes a little bit. And then when you're in pro ball, there are some guys with the wackiest routines you will see. We had a guy who has to have an even number of pieces of juicy fruit in his gum pack in the bullpen. I don't care, because when he goes out, he gets outs. And if he needs that to be his thing, good for him. I think he's wacky, but whatever, man. Like, you do you. That's the difference, I think. The farther you go along, think about that. Like, don't worry about what other people are saying. Do what you need to do to be successful. Follow your coaches. Follow the people that are going to make you better. And do what you've got to do. So, yeah.
Just looking through some of these, and you hit it on a little bit with diet, but a lot of them ask about your eating habits. They change it all in season, off season.
Chipotle. Yeah. Well, when we're in season, try to eat Chipotle as much as you can because you're on the road.
There's a lot
good option.
A lot of people, to go over with routines, a lot of people, especially some of my teammates, if he goes 3 for 3, 3 for 4, he eats that same thing every single day. So you see so many weird, rituals, routines. But I think the best thing is trying to eat as much as you can during the season, because you lose weight. That was the biggest thing with me. I would always, in the off season, get my weight up, and then I'd play every single day, and my weight would go down. So I just think that's the biggest thing going into this season too, is just make sure I get my food intake, good food too. You don't want to eat at McDonald's every single day, obviously, unless you have an off day. That's your cheat day. But just liquid smoothies are good for it too. Nutritionists, it's easy for us because we have nutritionists too that always harp on it as well. So just make sure you put the calories and carbs in your body too.
Yeah, nutrition was a big part for me because, like he said, as the season goes on, you're going to lose about 9-10 pounds just because you're traveling, you're not eating as much.
In the minor leagues.
Especially in the minor leagues. Nutrition has been a big thing for me. I do meet with a nutritionist. I've been meal prepping right now, so I'm 200 pounds today. I need to be 215 pounds by January. So I've got a month and a half to 2 months, middle of January, to put 15 pounds on, and I'm gonna do it. That's my job. So nutrition's a big thing. That needs to be good things. That can't be, as much as I love pizza, that can't be pizza and burgers and stuff. That's, chicken, brown rice, all the good things. Hydration is a big thing too, because you don't realize when you're not hydrated, like it makes the biggest difference when you're making sure you're putting what you need to put in your body every day. So.
What's your meal prep look like right now?
So right now, this past week, it takes like 4 or 5 hours to do the entire thing. But I made like a big chicken platter with a bunch of vegetables. I throw brown rice, carbs, and everything. So every single one of my meals is half carbs. The rest is protein and veggies. I did that. I did like a chicken balsamic thing. Got my Gordon Ramsay chef work on. I did like a turkey meatball sriracha thing. I did a chicken sausage penne deal, just big barrels of this stuff. And I did a shrimp quinoa fried rice, which was really good. So, yeah.
I'm more of the person who just cooks every single night.
Yeah.
Just chicken and rice one night, and then tons of spaghetti the next night, and just go day to day.
And there's no right or wrong answer. If you're getting it in your body, that's what you need to do. So, yeah.
Sturts, is there anything else back there?
A lot of people ask about your workout schedule: lifting, hitting, pitching.
Dietary Coke, your right is
Off-season
out
or
front.
during season?
Dietary Coke, your right is out
So
front.
for me, I left after my junior year. So I'm actually taking some classes too, just trying to finish up because even though it seems like my career is going well, it's, blink of an eye you need a backup plan, So, so I'm finishing classes, but I'll wake up early, as early as I can. I love to sleep, so I sleep in a lot too. So, but whenever I wake up, breakfast, and then I would go lift, and then I would have classes from 12:30 to 3, and then after that I would go hit. And then I haven't started throwing yet because, season, you throw from February to September. So I let my, arm rest. Just started hitting here in November. And then I'll probably start throwing in December again. But I would lift, hit, and, just focus on my, nutrition at the end, dinner. And then before bed, I try to make a shake or a smoothie every single day. Kind of get that, those calories in right before you go to bed because your body grows when you're sleeping. So
Yeah. My workouts are pretty heavy lifts right now. I'm trying to put that weight on, so I'm trying to crush my body a little harder. So I'll work out Monday, Tuesday, upper, lower. Wednesday's a mobility day, so I do a lot of stretching, different hip movements, and just kind of getting everything set in place. I'll do 2 more workouts, Thursday, Friday, lower, upper. I do yoga on Sundays. I will do yoga tomorrow, and I'll try to do yoga on Friday, just to try to stay flexible. It helps a lot for me with my body kind of getting back quick because recovery is such a big thing. So, yeah.
Do you read a lot?
Do you read a lot? That's a great question. We got long bus rides, so you got a lot of guys that'll play Fortnite, and you got a lot of guys that'll read, and that's kind of the split. I do. I try to read, a book or 2 when you're on the road. You find something to do. John's always calling me, giving me book advice, like, hey, I just read this book. He reads all the time.
who doesn't like to read it?
Yeah, who doesn't like to?
All right, so for your people who don't like to read, I hate reading, so I can't stand reading. But podcasts are like something I've turned to this season on the buses. Just listening to podcasts, listening to motivational people talk, listening to David Ross. For any of you who know David Ross, he's awesome. I know he has a book that's out, and there's a podcast on it as well. So, or like, what are those voice books?
Yeah.
They read it to you.
Audible.
Yeah, so just
Dave, Why don't you give him some books? Give him a couple books.
I read Mind Gym was awesome. Like, if I could give one book, it'd be Mind Gym. Mind Gym was great. Because I think looking into the mental side, I don't really ever read for, like, I love watching the TV show Game of Thrones. Comes out in April. Any Game of Thrones guys? But I don't read the books. I'll read things like Mind Gym. I'm really into business books. So I've read all the sharks from Shark Tank. Like, I've read all their books. So it doesn't just have to be baseball or athletic books, because you'll learn something from everything. You'll interpret something in the business world and put it into what you're doing in, pro ball. I would say Mind Gym was the biggest thing for me, because I read that early on in my career and I loved it, and it really helped shape how I looked at the game. So do that, because it's really good. Early on, you'll see it talks a lot about how you clear the negative ideas in your head and start putting in these positive, more like better self-talk, things like that. Helped me out a ton. So I also read Tom Brady's book. That was awesome. But it's a lot of like recipes too. So TB12. So yeah.
What's a typical BP session or throwing bullpen session that you guys would do in the off season, like this time of year?
Okay. BP, so, you'd go in, you would take a few, like 10 swings off of a tee. Make sure you stretch before, because you see so many obliques getting pulled, and we had a big oblique problem this season because guys would just play every single day, but they wouldn't stretch before they would start hitting. So stretching is actually is so important. So just make sure you stretch before you get in there. Take some off the tee. I minimize my tee work because I like flips. I like flipping from angles, over the toss throws, because this is just something I believe in. This is something that I do. It's because the ball's in motion when you hit it. You're never going to see a ball that's just sitting there. So I try to limit it, minimize my tee work, but I like flips. I'll take 20, 30 flips, and then if you have a BP thrower, do majority of it over the hand, because that's what you'll see in a game. Try to every single swing. Try to it's a game swing. Just try to imitate what you're going to do in a game. And something that helps me too is after each swing, step out, do your pre-at-bat routine before you get back into the box, and then take that another flip, and then back out, breathe. If you look at the barrel of the bat, if you twirl it around, just do your pre-at-bat routine. That's something that will get you in that routine, and then once you get in the game, you've been there. That's what just preparation.
Yeah, bullpens for me. So right now I'm no throw until December 1st. But when I do start getting back, I think for pitchers it's such a easy thing. You're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go throw for 15 minutes. Like, that is work. Like, that is my job. Like, I make my money for that 15 minutes I throw. So for me, I work on getting into like a really good calm mindset, kind of clear myself out, and then I go to work. I do make sure I'm working on really good rhythm. For me, when I am pitching at my best, I'm landing on a really stiff front leg. Those are like two big things for me. So when I'm going through catch, I'm focusing on landing into a stiff front leg, having really good rhythm, making sure my lanes are right. So when I do throw and play catch, that's working on that. And then once I do get into bullpens, I get pretty serious. I get off the mound. I have a pre-bullpen routine that I'll do before I go into a game, and throw in the bullpen before I go in for the 9th inning, 8th inning. And that I'll also do before my bullpens, just for preparation. I'll get on that, I'll clear my mind, and I'll go to work working on just kind of centering the plate. I should be able to throw a pitch down the middle 10 out of 10 times if I have to, because walks, you don't want walks. So I work a lot on that, and then I'll work batters in my head. And I'll think, okay, I missed right here. That opens up a slider away. This is what I'd throw in a game. Or I imagine that a guy might take a pitch kind of weird. Okay, well, I'm going to throw that again because it got him uncomfortable. So a lot of visualization for me as I go through that. So the detail, like being very detailed in your work. And it can be really hard, but once your body and your mind gets used to it, it helps a ton. helps out a ton. So. Does anybody in here like have a little bit of a routine or something they're working on, maybe? Because it's all right. Like I didn't have a routine when I was your guys' age, but I built one.
You know, I think everyone's different too. Everyone has their own thing.
Yeah, him and I are completely different too. As we're
Even though I hate hitting off the tee, there's people that I play with who hit 100 balls off the tee. I'm just like,
my brother.
all right, yeah.
My brother plays. He's a big tee work guy. So.
You raise your hand. What's your routine?
Well,
If I put you on the spot.
kind of clear my mind, and then like when I'm throwing pitches, it goes the exact same pitch, and then like if I miss a spot, I make sure to go back and just clear my head and then hit that spot.
Nice. Your pitcher.
Nice.
Left to your right.
Right. Cool.
Anyone else?
Someone, did you have a question? Or were you
I was gonna ask you a question.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, besides eating right, nutrition, what do you guys do to take care of your body?
Sleep. They call me the koala bear because I take naps so much. But like they're not like normal naps. Like
No.
normal nap is usually like what 30, 45 minutes, to maybe an hour.
He wakes up and he's like, "What year is it?"
Yeah, I sleep for like 2 to 3 hours. Yeah, that's my nap. So, but take naps. I mean, that's when your body grows. And then liquids or hydration is just huge. It's something that I didn't really focus on my first couple of years in pro ball or even in college because I never even thought. I'm learning so much about my body now that I never even knew about. But hydration, putting in liquid, calories is good too. Smoothie, like I talked about smoothies and stuff too. So just focus on that too.
Yeah, hydration, sleep. I try to get between 8 and 9 hours. I don't like to sleep past 9, and I don't like to sleep less than 8. So that's kind of my deal. That's how I perform my best. It's what my body needs for recovery. So, yeah.
Can you explain to the guys kind of how important it is to walk into an off-season training, whether you're hitting, you're pitching, you're working out, and be goal-oriented and not just showing up and saying, well, I'm here today?
Yeah.
At the professional level, there's always someone that's going to, even college, high school, it doesn't matter. There's always someone trying to take your job. You got to think that in the back of your mind. So going into an off-season goal-oriented will get you that next step better than the person who's behind you, the person who's coming for you. So just don't let them take your job. That's what you got to think. So you got to say, hey, I'm going to work this hard because no one's going to take my job. And that's my mentality because if you want to be the best, you got to just take someone else's job. You have to go for someone else's job, especially me. I'm in AAA right now. I want to take Whit Merrifield, Alcides Escobar's job. I want to take all their jobs. So just going into this off season, especially, I'm like, hey, I got to have a good mindset because I'm that close.
Yeah, and then touching on that too, whenever you go into a work day, whether it be in the weight room, on the field for a practice, like you should have something to work on. There needs to be, so you can have a goal of, like for me, I want to be 215 pounds in 2 months. Like that's a goal of mine. So every time I'm waking up, I'm focusing on that goal. But, today I need to work on making sure my posture is better while I'm squatting or doing this or that. Like, what are you working on that day? And even when you're throwing a bullpen, you might be working on your lane. It might be as simple as you're working on consistently throwing in the strike zone. That might be your thing that day. So I would say like having that as a goal is I'm working on this today. My goal is to get better at this. If you do that every single day with one thing, you're gonna be really, really good come a month later or 2 months later. So being detail oriented with like setting what you want to get better at is a big deal. So yeah.
You said like what keeps you motivated, like coming to take your job, like do you like set anything like when you wake up, do you see something that reminds you? Like,
So the one thing that I've done since I was a freshman in high school, so freshman year I was 4'11", 95 pounds. I was really small, but I always had this, chip on my shoulder, this competitive mindset, and I've always been positive. The one thing that I've learned, my mom was a big believer of this too, is I make, cards and I put it on my wall. So when I wake up and I turn and I see, the first thing I see every single morning is I want to be better today. Or, make little notes like, hey, I'm going to be a great teammate today. Or I'm going to do this today. Just, that's something that, the power of positive thinking. I don't know if any of you heard that, but I'm a big believer of it because, negativity can really drown someone. So, the power of positive thinking, being positive, thinking positive results will happen.
Yeah. I like to wake up in the morning and think, like, big coffee guy, I'll make my coffee and I'll sit and think, like, what do I want to get done today? Like, what am I up for today? There's the occasional day on a Saturday where it's like, I'm doing nothing today. Like, I just busted my tail for a week and a half. I'm doing nothing today. But I like to wake up and say, like, what are my goals for the day? What do I want to get better at? And what he said on negativity, guys, like, misery loves company. It loves it. It spreads through a team like cancer. It's terrible. Like, be optimistic. Be encouraging to the guys around you. It spreads. It'll make everybody better. So.
And there's one person, a team of 35. That's what we had in college. One person can kill a whole team. It can be one person. It could be one person that doesn't even see the field can kill a whole team. Or with your best player, one person, if he's negative, kill a whole team.
When you come to team talk like that, like my freshman year, like I pitched 2 innings. My role was not in the bullpen in college. My role was not in the bullpen. My role was on, like, I was riding the pine, cheering my guys on. And I was going to be really good at it. I had my brother on the team. I'd go crazy if my brother did something good. Guys would look at me like, what? Just relax, man. But, like, if you're playing, be the best at that. If you're not, be the best teammate. Like, be encouraging to the guys. Because everybody's got a role on the team, whether you're on the field at the time or you're not. If you're a starter and you throw every 5th day, I don't know how the rotations, I don't remember how they work in high school, but if you got a rotation, like on those days you're not pitching, you better be locked in and making guys better. Maybe you see that a pitcher's doing something different on the mound, go up to your hitter and say, hey, every time he's throwing a slider, he's doing this with his glove before he throws it. Like, and that help your team out. Just be a positive, be in a positive role on your team wherever you are. And it's hard to do. The best teammates are the guys that don't play but show up every day and they're grinding to get on the field, but they're also encouraging their teammates. Be that guy too. So.
And one thing to piggyback on him before we move on is, it's such a separator. If you bust your ass every single day, you're positive, you're a good teammate. If you're picking between a kid who does that and there's a kid that is equal or maybe a little better than you, but has a horseshit attitude, negative, they'll pick you. It's a big separator.
Yeah.
There's guys who are still on the team in pro ball and college that are still on the team too because they're great teammates. They bring the team together. That's something you guys just need to think about too. Just know who you are and just kind of know how to become a better teammate, become a better person too.
Yeah. We had a catcher like that this past year, and he was a high school draft pick, but he never really panned out. He's just been kind of sliding across minor leagues, this organization, but he sticks because he makes everybody around him better. He knew every pitcher in and out. He knew every hitter in and out, and it was like, man, this guy's the best. No organization will ever get rid of him because he makes everybody around him better. And when he left, like, the team took a hit. We were like, oh my God. We weren't playing as well because we didn't have that energy in the dugout. We didn't have that energy in the clubhouse. Those are the bonds that you create with the guys around you. They become strong. It makes everybody better. So, yeah.
To kind of add to that, can you talk about the difference between, like, we kind of talked about this the other night, like teams that have good leaders and teams that have bad leaders, and like what's that difference, and like just kind of compare those two and your experiences on those teams.
Yeah. We've been a part of both of them. So teams, 100%. Teams with good leaders and bad leaders, like, that's the big separator. But like, some examples of really good leaders I've seen are guys that are by example. Really good leaders have really good timing, and they know everybody on a personal level, right?
You don't have to be that senior. You don't have to be a junior. You could be a freshman and be a leader of a team.
Yeah. And so there are some guys who are leaders by example, and there's some guys that are vocal leaders, but understand who you are, be comfortable with who you are, and bring that to the table. The worst, I've been with, when I was a freshman at Creighton, I won't say his name, but I really struggled with him because he obviously didn't know how to handle me, and he was just the most negative person for me. It made me feel terrible, but then I've had leaders that really bring you up in the situations when you do poorly, and it makes you a better player. And then the biggest thing that I hate seeing is like an eyewash leader, someone who does it only when coach is watching, because they're all over the place.
Your teams will, or your teammates will.
Your teammates will like notice, and they may not listen to you. So, make it be real and make it be who you are. And I think everybody has the ability to lead in some way. My brother was a leader at Creighton. He didn't say a word. He just went about his business. And we had other guys who were great leaders who were very, very vocal. So it kind of mixes, really.
Kind of know yourself.
Yeah. And then the second thing to add to that is like, talk about how to hold people accountable, or if you've ever been held accountable, and just how to respond to that.
Yeah.
And then also just, so an example of both, like have you ever been held accountable? How do you respond when that happens? And then how do you go about holding someone else accountable?
I think the biggest thing is don't be afraid to step on some people's toes, especially if you're trying to lead and trying to have that goal in mind of being better each and every day. Don't be afraid if someone's slacking. Tell them, hey, pick it up a little bit, because it's going to help your team. You tell them to step it up. He might not like it, first. Your teammates will probably rally behind you if the guy's slacking, but he might not like it. But at the end of the day, if it helps and he sees some success out of it, he'll come to you and be like, hey, you're right. He'll appreciate that more. I think that's.
Yeah. And too often, sometimes we take things a little too personally. Like, are you good friends with him? Well, look around at your friends, whatever, this or that. Like, say something to somebody. Like, if you get on him for something, you're just trying to get him better. You're not trying to like just tear him apart. And if you say something to him, you're trying to get him better. Like, too often we take things too personal. I have a story, and it involves John. I told you I was going to say this. So I had worked my way into a good role as a sophomore, and I was closing some games, and it was awesome. And I had kind of forgotten what I had been through, and that I didn't really play much as a freshman. And so we get into a game. I had just been closing games, and we're up like 11-4 against Murray State, and I get thrown into the ninth. And I threw like 15, 16 pitches, but it makes you tired. You're not going to get up as much for a bigger situation. So we're in right field. And I look at John. John's with me. We're sitting out shagging balls, and I'm like, hey, man, like, what the hell was coach thinking? Like, why am I going in for this or that? And John ripped me. He was like, are you effing kidding me? Like, do you remember where you were? Like, what you were working to get to? And you just think you're entitled enough that you can't pitch in this situation? He's like, you got in the game. There are guys still not, like, what is wrong with you? And it was such a good moment for me, because at first I was like, what the hell? But like, you sit there and you think about it. I looked in the mirror and I was like, he's right. I can't take this for granted. Like, I'm getting an opportunity to play. It shouldn't matter whether we're up 100-0 or if it's the ninth inning with 2 outs, bases loaded, and it's the Big East championship. It shouldn't matter. So like, he held me accountable for that, and we got on each other every now and then. But
the thing about it is, though, if you're going to hold someone accountable, you got to pull your weight too. You can't have any days off. You can't yell at someone for doing something and then slack the next day when he turns his back. You gotta pull your weight too, and that's one thing that John was good at. He's good at getting on some people's asses, but he never took a day off. He was the hardest worker that we had on our team.
Yeah.
Now, if we had more people who did that, we might have got to a regional, but couldn't.
Yeah.
Because there's other people moving in opposite directions, but you just got to back it up. If you're gonna jump on someone's ass, back them up. You got to back it up.
yeah, guys, like, coaches are the best, but if you can hold each other accountable, if you can make each other better, those teams, those teams are unbelievable, and those are the most fun teams to be with because that's the closest bond you'll have with a team.
Winning's fun.
Winning is a lot of fun, and you'll win a lot of games with teams like that. I've been on both teams, so just for someone who's been there, like, do that, you know. Any other questions?
Is there anything else back there?
There was one that maybe one of you or both you could hit on. It said, what's one of the biggest challenges that you've ever had to overcome, and how did you overcome that to be at the point that you're at now?
In life or in baseball?
Probably either one.
Oh.
Kind of you.
Yeah.
Didn't specify.
Go ahead.
It's a tough one.
I don't know. My sophomore year, I tore my meniscus, but I mean that was tough. But I came back pretty good.
Falls?
Huh?
How about every fall?
Oh yeah, how about this? So each year, you know, Creighton, obviously we have, you know, the fall, we play games in the fall, we play scrimmages, everything. From freshman to junior year, if you combine all 3 falls, I only had 3 hits. So I was like 3 for probably like 140, whatever. How many games?
When
we
he
played.
got up in the fall, I was like, all right.
Yeah, all the pitchers were like,
He's
I
out.
would face him because he's. But when the season came around, it's time to play. That's when, you know, I turned it on. So, coach till this day tells every single team, you know, stories about how he didn't show up in the fall. Like I showed up, but I couldn't hit. I couldn't hit. I was just like, all right. Everyone struck me out. Everyone got me out. But so that was one thing I had to overcome. I had to forget the fall, and I had to play that season, you know, and produce because the team needed me. So
I'll do like baseball. I'll give a baseball one. After my freshman year, I was told to drop down. I'm a submarine pitcher. I don't throw over the top. So I had gone my whole life, busted my tail doing this, and I had a coach that I had just been playing for a year. It was like, hey, we want you to try this. If it works, like, awesome. If not, like, it's, you know, it's going to be tough for you to try to get a role. So I had to tear everything I had known down, and I was watching videos of guys in the big leagues. I had to really work for an entire summer to become a good enough pitcher to throw at the D1 level as a submariner. And it was like an everyday thing. And we talked about Mark Lukowski earlier. He was with me the summer that I learned how to do that. I was another guy that played here and was like, you know, I had a good influence there, but that was really difficult for me to do because I was throwing all my marbles into this one bag that I didn't know if it was even going to pan out. I could have came back in the fall and it could have been nothing. And I didn't have a great fall that year. So in baseball, that's probably the hardest thing I've had to go through because it was an unknown and I had faith in what my coach was telling me to do. And it was really on me to learn it on my own. So, yeah. Are you raising your hand? You're just stretching. So, yeah, for sure.
How has baseball helped you outside of the game? Like, as a son, as a student, as a friend, boyfriend, how's it helped you?
I think baseball is so close to real life. Like, you know, it's unbelievable because, you know, the learning aspect, the team aspect, just being a better teammate, being a better person, and then also competing and, you know, dealing with failure, dealing with successes. It's stuff you're gonna see in the real world as well. And, you know, I can't say that I've always been, you know, slumps and making errors and, you know, having those bad days. I can honestly say I haven't been, you know, the best person after those days. But it's just learning from that and then, you know, being better the next day.